DJ Event Planner will change the way you manage and run your business. Streamline all of your procedures and software into one easy-to-manage system. DJ Event Planner, the ultimate online planning tool.
Well, hello. And of course, John did his typical, hey, I'm in the middle of Dan talking. I'm just going to count him down now. So thank you very much for joining us. And you got to give me a chance to get my thoughts together, John.
I was thinking, it's like, oh, I've got one more segment to add to this. It's like, oh, crud, that's the last segment. And it's only a 9-second segment. Oh, no. Sorry.
It's okay. It's all right. You know what? I shouldn't expect any less. I mean, I was off for 2 weeks. I thought maybe, you would come back.
A 6-second warning instead of a 3-second warning. So yeah, no.
That's true. It was 3 seconds as opposed to half a second. So that is good, I guess.
Yeah, we're live now, kind of.
But oh my gosh, it's been a crazy couple of weeks. I mean, I gotta say, Megaseg came out with an update since the last time we talked.
That was so exciting. Oh, I was a flutter, simply a flutter.
Yeah. And you know what? I don't think there was anything else. I mean, nothing could top that. I'm sure
there was almost something that topped it.
Oh, there was.
Apple announced their 16-inch MacBook Pro. The 16-inch MacBook Pro can have up to 64 meg. It can have up to a processor that will be able to like shoot small aircraft down that are flying into the trench to try to blow up your Death Star. And it can have up to a 4 terabyte SSD. Put that computer together with all of the specs and such at the top of $6,000.
Well, yeah.
But for today only, you can get it for $59.59.
I think it was $59.99.
$59.99. I don't know. Yeah, incredible. I mean, if you guys look at the specs on this machine, it is a true pro machine. There's no question about it. And it has the bigger screen and it has the really tiny little bezel and it's really nice. But OMG.
Yeah.
There. Now I've just been a teenager, so I just feel like.
No, they don't use OMG anymore. That's so.
I am so old and outdated.
That you're using phrases from 2017.
Yeah, pretty much. I'm so 2017. But that's okay.
That's better than you used to be. So
yeah,
I guess there's hope for you yet.
But I'm up to 2017. We should be proud. So tonight, Dan, I wanted to talk about. This is something that has come up time and time again on social media when it comes to DJs taking pictures at events. And there's a variety of different angles we're going to talk about tonight in this realm. And I want to present some of these things to you, and we're going to kind of riff about some of these things. Mm-hmm. There's situations when it comes to events as a mobile entertainer DJ where we can do some things because we want to get some promotional material. We want to do this. We want to capture a moment. We want to have something that we can look back on for educational purposes or training purposes or correcting bad habits, what have you. So there's a variety of different reasons for us to be capturing things with our camera. Whatever that camera is, we're going to just leave that generic for now. there's repercussions for a lot of these things. And that's really what I wanted to talk about tonight, Dan, is the potential fallout. Because one interesting little article that came out was a photographer who is suing a DJ in California because in their contract, it says that they are the only, and this is very common, photographers have it that we're the only ones who are there to be taking a picture. Their particular contract stated that there could be no pictures taken by anything more elaborate than a cell phone. They did specifically say cell phone photos are fine. What does a DJ have? A DSLR. Maybe not even a fancy one, but they had that. The bride and groom had told the DJ that we have this in the things, and you can't take pictures with your things. You can grab it with a cell phone, but you can't do anything more than that. The DJ had said yes, and said that they understood that. They actually have a video of their planning session. They just recorded it for purposes. So the bride and groom have this. The bride and groom have got their get out of jail free card right here.
Yeah.
The photographer is coming after the DJ. And of course, they're not talking a $5,000 thing because the DJ is, I want to say that the photographer, I thought they were saying it was over $20,000 that they paid just to get the pictures taken with that photographer because they're a high-end brand or they're a name person. These things are out there. That's going to become life. So that's really what I wanted to dig into. Before we do that, Dan, let's talk a little bit about what have you done at your events when you've wanted to capture footage, video, what have you? What have you done in the past that you have used for your shows?
So, a couple different things. So, when I'm using, as far as equipment wise, is that what
yep, exactly. When you're trying to, you want to capture some things, whether it's that, whatever, have you used camcorders? Have you used what?
Gotcha. So, I used to have a couple different things that I would set up. I tried to do the whole GoPro and set it someplace inconspicuous. And for me, I always felt like I saw it, so everybody else was going to see it.
Right.
So I never really felt like I had it in a good place where it wasn't going to stick out. So I kind of, for the most part, I got away from the GoPro and got away from the camcorder idea. Or if I do, sometimes I'll put it on if I have a facade set up, I'll set it on my table and angle it towards me if I want to be able to catch introductions or any mic work that I might be doing, just to kind of self-critique. But I'm not going to use that for promotion because it's like just my little face.
Yep, exactly. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So now I've kind of just, I had a DSLR that I was using for a while, and I was taking some pictures with it and utilizing that. And I've gotten to the point where it was just kind of too cumbersome.
Sure.
So now I'm just grabbing cell phone. So if there's, I usually don't do video wise. It's just pictures, quick snapshots. I make sure that I always watch where the photographer is and make sure that I'm not in the background where the photographer's taking it and taking the picture, because I just think that looks tacky. But yeah, I'm basically just using cell phone now.
And that's kind of the direction I've got. I had a Mevo, which is a little device where you can set it anywhere in the room, and it will actually track faces and do its thing. It's a 4K, but it will crop down to a 1080 box that follows faces. I've used that. Some of you have seen some of the 360 pictures I've taken when I've done some stills that shows. Those have been more for kind of creating that, capturing pictures that no one else would see. During the dinner time, it'd be like, okay, I'm going to get this all set up. Okay, everybody in the room, look at this little camera. I'm going to step out of the scene and I'll count down and everyone look at the camera and smile. And they do. And we've had some really cool pictures. I just wish the resolution would be higher on those 360. But 360 camera I've actually used and still use, but it's to capture something different than what the photographer does in that situation. I've had camcorders I've used sometimes, to capture the dance floor for if there wasn't a videographer, I've used it to capture and hand that to the bride and groom. Had the DSLR, and I've done some things with that once the photographer has gone. We've done some photo bench things is what we called it, where it was like a photo booth, but only during a cocktail time where we were just getting a picture of everyone and not the props. We've had a variety of different things that I've done over the years. But I think probably part of the reason why I'm using phones nowadays is just that convenience factor. That you've got the DSLR and it's a pain in the butt. It's this, the bigger thing. It's got the lens and I can get great shots with it, But okay, I got to get things ready, get that, and make sure I want click, and then I'm back to what I'm doing because I don't have the time to be doing that. Getting the videos and such, yeah, it's all great and fine and good, but it seems that when a person's mixing and actually doing quicker mixes than I used to do, and now mixing and laying songs over each other or with a bass beat under it, I don't have that free time that I probably felt I had 10 years ago. So it's kind of changed. And then the other side of it is I have been kind of well recommended by photographers. And that's been an area in which I've been concerned about myself, is if I start to do things, am I going to be alienating the photographers and such, because they'll be like, oh, look, he's got a camera up here taking the same picture I am. That's just not good. Not good indeed. Just checking the chat. There's some Facebook, a couple of Facebook comments that came in. So, okay. Have you run into a situation, though, at any of your events where you've heard through either the bride or groom or through the photographer, what have you, that they've had that where no one else could be taking pictures for the event?
Not for personal. I've seen on Facebook where, it's like, oh, I've got this, I've got the wedding and now I'm told that, the photographer is the only one who can take photos. And sometimes I think it's taken too far. And what I mean by that is sometimes the statements that people are making is, nobody is allowed to take pictures. And I think sometimes that's a little bit over the top. And in the article, one of the things that it talked about was that a lot of times the idea or the intention behind the what is going on is that there's not another photographer.
Right.
There's not another person, that they're not bringing on a second shooter or a second photo company that is kind of competing. I find it kind of bizarre that there's even some of those concerns, but especially when the concern would be, I guess in some way I would say amateur, but in the same respect, now I'm thinking back in my head and I can think of a couple DJ friends of mine, when I've seen their photos, I'm like, did you get that from the photographer? And they're like, no, this is a picture I took. Like, they're that talented.
Yeah.
So I do see some concern with it. Yeah.
And I think, I was talking to a photography studio today to get prepared for tonight a little bit. And my question is like, okay, so when you have this situation where you've got that in your contract, how do you handle, if a bride says, hey, and he gave the example that, okay, so the bride says, hey, my Uncle Murray loves to take pictures and he's got a nice little camera, and can he do that? And their thought is that they have that in the contract. They're like, if he wants to take candids around the room, no problem. If he wants to go capture the party that way. It was the staged shots. They do not want anyone else taking pictures of the staged shots, because those are the ones, obviously, they're going to do the reprints. And they want to have it so that Uncle Murray isn't budging, okay, I'm going to get the cake cutting shot. Okay, the groom, the bride, cake, knife, and then Uncle Murray comes, excuse me, click. Those are the kind of things that they're not wanting. And for most of the time, for us as entertainers, when we're getting our types of shots for what we're doing, unless it's a first dance, we're probably never crossing paths with the photographers. And I can't even think of, if there were 2 times that I had a photographer at my dance this past year, maybe. Most of the time, the photographers in our vicinity are long gone by the time the dance starts, which obviously if you guys are doing dance and then dinner, or, first course, dance, and second course, different story. Ours is this whole dinner, cocktail hour, dinner time, going and they take their pictures, and we unfortunately in the land of the staged first dance, because the photographer's got to be gone by 7. Well, the dance isn't going to start till 7:30 or 8. Yeah, but they got to be gone at 7, so let's go stage the first dance. Can you turn your lights on? It's like, we just serve cake. You want my lights on for a first dance? First off, I wouldn't turn the lights on anyway for a first dance, because I don't want to have my beaming lights doing whatever. Anyway, so that becomes certainly a part of it. Is the photographer there? Is the videographer there? And if they're not, it becomes kind of a less of a discussion point. But for some, it can be a real stickler. And we were talking to another DJ who comes in with a DSLR, and he has a $4,000 camera, and he's got a $4,000 Canon L lens on the thing, and that's what he's shooting for his promotional stuff. He's got better gear than most photographers do, and that's not going to fly.
Yeah. I have it built into my contract that basically any photos or videos that I take are allowed to be used by my company for promotional services or for promotional reasons. And I set it up that way just as kind of a catch-all. If I want to take a picture and I want to throw it up on Instagram, or if I want to be able to showcase, hey, this was a shot at this venue with this in the background. And what's funny is a lot of times my couples are completely fine with it. Like they have no issue with it because they thought of those pictures, they saw those pictures, which is kind of what led them to me in the first place. Like they see that experience and they want that. And so I get that. Although I have a wedding coming up next year where the bride and groom reached out to me after they received the contract and they saw the line and they go, is this going to be a problem? Can you take that out? And I said, well, if you're not wanting that, that's fine. And I don't know. And I didn't have the discussion as to why. Was this because the photographer has a policy against it? Was it whatever? I said, if you don't want me to take them, that's as simple as just, okay, we eliminate that. And I don't take any photos that night. And there's no recap other than a text recap of what happened.
Sure.
But I'm with you in that there's a time and a place for certain things. Like, for example, when we're staging something, when we're setting something up, I feel in some ways it's as much us as it is anybody else as far as how things looked. When I'm coaching my couples as far as how they're going to do the first dance and the way they're going to be and those types of elements, that's my creative license, if you will. So if I want to get a shot of that in the background, I feel like it should be okay with another photographer. But I agree, they're out doing their photos and they're setting things up. I shouldn't come along and say, take a picture. And I didn't create that. I didn't create the display, the license, the look. So I really don't have any right over anybody else.
I like that, that if it's something that you created, the moment you created, that makes a lot of sense. I think it's a great litmus test to that. I want to jump back to when you were saying you had that couple that didn't want pictures taken. There are a few different situations. One, coming from our school background, we know that there are kids in our schools, underage, children, that could be coming from a previous domestic abuse situation or a battered spouse thing or a separation where the one parent is, in essence, in hiding from the other parent. And many schools in our area here, there is that situation that is somewhere in the school. And the only people who really know this are the administration. They don't really want to tell anyone because they don't want these kids, these families to be singled out. And I get that. But as entertainers, here's where our camera is another spot where they can get us in trouble, is we're out there and the kids are on the dance floor at a wedding or at a teen event, whatever. And we're like, oh, this is a cool shot. Here it is, the cha-cha slide shot, click. And this is a great shot. It's a great promotional thing, and we're going to go and put it up on our social media page. Well, it just so happens that the third child from the right, who is dancing next to Aunt Susie, well, that child's non-custodial father has been looking, and all of a sudden finds it on your social media, and finds out that child is now up in northern wherever. Yeah. These things happen, unfortunately, in our day and age. So those promotional shots, and when people are saying not so much, I mean, it almost is to the point I feel we've got to have that discussion a little bit and say, hey, if I'm going to take some cool pictures of your day, like that head table shot, if I'm going to be taking that shot, is there anyone in the room who may not want that to be shown? Because not only do I need to know that, but even the couple. Because if I just say, okay, I'm going to take the shot and I'm going to send it to you for your own private viewing, well, if it's a cool picture, the first thing they're going to want to do is go share. Could they be getting themselves or opening up a can of worms that they don't want to open by doing that? And in this day and age, I think it's just there's so much potential for that gray area that we really just can't say. And that, oh, I set this 360 picture up, and I love that litmus test. But even that doesn't protect our guests or even ourselves, because if something happened to a kid because of a picture we took, we're open for a lawsuit. No question about it.
And you kind of talked about two different animals, I think. One where you're talking about schools, and another where you're talking about kids at a wedding. I've stayed away from the school thing because as far as taking pictures at my school events, and it bothers me because I would love to take some of the shots that I have, especially some of my bigger ones where I'm like, oh yes, I can do like 400 people events. But because you never know, and a lot of times the schools have the no photo list, and you can go through that if you want to, and different people have different philosophies and different companies, and Arnaldo has, obviously, if you've seen any of his stuff, I mean, he's got like 8,000 pictures from every event. So there's got to be ways around it. But with that being said, when they're at the wedding, especially when there's certain things like your setup head table shot, I feel like at some point some of the responsibility does have to fall on the people that are there. Like, for example, hey, I'm going to be taking this big shot with this big 360 camera. If you don't want, I don't feel like we need to say, if you don't want to be in the photo, leave. But in the same respect, be only from the standpoint of, it's like, as a person sitting there, what else could be done with this photo? Okay, somebody might print it. Somebody, but in the same respect, it's a photo. So if I know that I don't want to be in any shots, that's kind of a given. Open dancing, that's a little bit different. They may not even realize the picture's being taken. But in those same respects, yeah, it is a potential can of worms. At what point do we go, listen, that's not something to need to worry about? Like,
I think at weddings, again, we're looking at two. I think at weddings that not to need to worry about it as much, because I think there's a level of, if somebody's there, they know that there's a photographer there, and there's a paid photographer there, not only us, but they're going to have to be careful and deal with that. I think as a parent, you would have to, if my child or I shouldn't be on film, then I better be, hiding in a corner or, out of sight, or maybe I don't go. If it's that bad, you just, unfortunately, maybe you can't go. At a school. At a school, I think that this is an area in which I think we as DJs, this is the one that I think it has the potential for being the most damaging to us by taking pictures. And you mentioned Arnaldo, and Arnaldo takes a lot of pictures. Jeremy Lambie, he takes anyone who's doing school dances at a higher level, they're taking a lot of pictures of what they're doing. So far, they've been able to get, and nothing's happened. So wonderful for those guys, but the potential is there, and I think that's probably, as I've gotten older, where the potential becomes scary enough where it's just not worth doing. Now, that doesn't mean I haven't taken pictures from some high school events. Most of the time when I'm taking pictures now, it's the shadows of the students going, where you're not seeing faces. You're not really sure even who it is. And yes, I still have some older pictures that have faces on it, but I try to get to the point of not having those faces as much, or at least not recognizable. So you can't say, oh yes, that's Bob. That's Bob. You're from, from the local high school, Jefferson High School. Yeah, you can't see that if I've done my job right. And that's my ultimate goal. So that the school area is always one that concerns me. And it's mainly because we have friends that are doing that, but I just don't think that's worth the risk. And eventually one of them is going to get hit.
Well, and I'll be honest. I think, knowing Jeremy, knowing Arnaldo, and knowing some of these other guys that are doing the big events, I'm sure that they, at least I would hope they do, have the contract set up in such a way, they have all the, all the T's crossed, all the I's dotted, as far as even knowing what is acceptable, talking with administration to find out, listen, do I have to worry about this? Is there anybody that be left off? Because it's not like this is the first time they're rolling out and taking photos at the event. They're well known for what they do, and they're well known for, it would not take much to look at their Facebook, to look at their Instagram, and know that the pictures are coming out.
Right.
So but I'm with you. I don't think the risk is worth it. Even if I have my contract set up in such a way that there's no way they could touch me if that picture was shown.
Yeah, I don't even know though. Let's staying in the school area. I don't think there's any way that you can do in a school and have that be the case, because short of having a photo release from each student there, the parents of the student there's no way you can do it. Technically, even some schools, they send the photo release home, and this is a blanket photo release. If your student is in this grade, you either are authorizing that any pictures taken you're okay with or not. Well, not every student, parents don't send those in. Sometimes they send in, no, you cannot do it. One of those technically could be enough to get us hung. If we would all of a sudden have little Bobby in 8th grade, his mom and dad say, nope, I don't want your pictures anywhere. And then all of a sudden they're on my social media page, there could be some issues. So there's no win. It's basically, it's kind of like driving, 56 and a 55. Technically, you could be arrested and it could be a problem. You may never get pulled over. You may be lucky, but if you find the wrong officer some night, that 56 and a 55 could get you pulled over and get you a ticket. Mm-hmm. So the last area I wanted to talk about is for those who do want to capture some things, and some advice on how to be able to capture. Again, going back to how are we using our cell phone is really what I'm kind of looking at to be able to capture some things. And have you found a better way, or a good way to be able to capture? When you've set something up, are you taking the picture yourself? Are you having someone else take it? Kind of go through, and you have a situation that you're like, okay, I need to capture this moment because it's going to be great for publicity for me.
So I work by myself. So with me, it's I got it. Things are going. I quick grab the camera, or quick grab my phone rather, flip it and take the shot. Take a couple of them real quick and fast, and then I'm kind of out of the ordeal. I have friends, Mark Bernizen up in Lake George. He has an excellent idea, and this is one of the things that I've kind of wanted to bring an assistant on, mainly for this idea. Is his assistant is the guy who's running his sound, who's doing all that kind of thing. And then when Mark is behind the board and he's mixing and whatnot, his assistant is taking photos.
Sure.
And so basically somebody's always available to get those shots that they potentially need. And it also gives your assistant something to do when you're the one who's doing the mixing, when you're the one who's now behind the board and you're not playing just MC, but you're playing DJ. They've got something to do. So I think there's I would recommend, if you've got an assistant, train them on how to get those shots, whether it's a phone or whether it's a DSLR or whatever it is. Of course, making sure within that parameters of you're not ticking off the photographer. But still, just to make sure that you're getting the right shot. And in the same respect, we can all take pictures of a party, but nothing says it's your party unless you're in the shot.
Yeah.
So if you have that, that's going to obviously step it up.
Very true. Yeah, and that's a great idea with the assistant. Something that we did a number of years back when we had the extra people, and we didn't have them for a long time, is that we would offer, photographers leaving early. 8 o'clock, the photographer's going to be gone. Okay, great. So from 8 until 12, there won't be a photographer. No. We can offer you a candid, someone who will come in and take candid pictures, and basically their job will be to take about 200 to 300 pictures during that time frame, throughout that time frame, so that way your guests and your family don't have to be wondering if they're going to be able to get the shot. Our person can do that. So I think it was like a $200 upgrade, and the idea behind it was basically it gave me promotional photos if I needed them, and it paid for the second person. That was it. It's like, okay, if we can go and we can make enough off that, or you make enough of that upsell to pay for that second person. Now, instead of, and I think Lori and I did this a couple of times when we did shows that were like 3 to 4 hours away. It's like, okay, at the end of the night, we have a little bit larger setup. It's going to take an hour and a half for me to rip down by myself. But if she's with, we can be out of there in half an hour, with 2 people going. So we gain an hour. Let's just pitch this. And some people did that, and they took us up on it. I even offered it a number of years, and now that I'm actually thinking more about it, I should actually do that now that I have Michael and Brandon who are available, and even my daughter, she could she can take pictures really quite well in that situation. So, but yeah, that's one of the areas. My idea, or one of the things I've been doing is kind of stealing an idea from MJ in this one. If you remember when we took one of our DJNTV pictures with you and Shani and MJ and I, MJ basically set his phone up on his tripod and he had it recording in 4K. And then he could go and take that one frame, and then because it was in 4K, it's at a high enough resolution so we could actually use it in things. And I've actually done that with my phone on a few occasions, setting it up to 4K and letting it record while I'm out there setting up the garter situation, and so I can get that shot when I'm out there. And it works really quite well if there's enough light for the focus to focus properly. Yeah, that's been my biggest hang up. It's like, okay, they're in focus and they look really good, and I've got it set on a dance floor. And then when I go out there, it's like they're in focus and I'm standing behind them a little bit and I'm out of focus, or I'm blurry too much. And it's like, oh, it's just I haven't been able to master the low light situation. Maybe the new iPhone, the iPhone 11, would be better. I've got the 8. The 8 is mine. It gets some decent things, but it's not that low light thing that would be perfect. And I don't want to come in there with a camcorder and go that route, which of course would work. Our Sony camcorders are 4K, and they're wonderful in low light. But then I've got this big camcorder, and sometimes when people see the big camcorder on the side of the dance floor, it's like they change how they're, now we're all of a sudden, instead of going ooh and being crazy, they're like, oh, look at there's a camera. Yeah. So,
well, and you could also, I mean, if you wanted to be a little bit more inconspicuous, you could use some of the GoPros, especially the newer levels, were good for low light, had the 4K, available to them, and don't tend to pop out of focus quite as much, because they're more used for movement. But yeah, I forgot about MJ's trick with that, just the letting it run and then pulling a still from it.
Yeah. That can work very, very well. When I've done some of my recording outside for the Handyman channel, we've done that, where we've just gone and it's recording at a high resolution, and we'll go set up a thumbnail shot, and starting with the video. And sometimes the thumbnail shot works out, and sometimes when I'm going through the video later, it's like, oh, I didn't like that one as much as I like that. So anyway. Yeah. So anyway, so I just want to have about a half hour discussion here on some things with cameras and taking pictures at our events, videos at our event, and different types of events where it might bite us in the butt eventually someday.
Yeah. And here's the easiest thing. If the bride and groom are making you aware of something, make sure you follow it.
Yeah, exactly. Don't, because that's I don't know how that's going to turn out, and we may never hear about it again. But yeah, when you start searching and asking questions, then people are like, oh yeah, look at this. Okay, great. Yeah. Let's see. So the updates for coming up for February, for those of you who are going to be joining us in Las Vegas, we have our full. I think the full schedule is pretty. I don't know if we made a couple of changes, which a lot of you know about. We have added a karaoke session that's going to be going on during the show. We have the 4 master classes that are going on. Ben Stowe is going to be doing a master class talking about audio structure, or gain structure, excuse me. Mitch Taylor is going to be doing a master class workshop on sales. Ron Ruth is going to be doing a master class on creating wow for your guests and how to sell that wow. So if you want to be more creative and you want to be selling unique wedding experiences, as Jason Jan refers to it as boutique wedding experiences, that's what Ron's going to be talking about, of how to create those, how to be listening to create those from what your interview with the bride and groom, and then how to sell the value of that to your couples. Then the last masterclass is going to be Donnie Lewis coming in, and he's going to take you through using projectors to do projection mapping. And he's going to be showing you from the beginning to end of how to do that and project a map, do the projection mapping on a cake. Obviously, it's not going to be a real cake, because if it would, I would eat it before it got there. But that will be part of the master classes. And then we have our education going from noon Monday until Wednesday at about 4 or 5 o'clock, somewhere in that. So it should be good. We're excited about how things are coming together. We have one last we've got a really cool thing coming up for Black Friday for those who have a ticket, and even some of you who don't have a ticket yet. But the full ticket holders are going to be getting an incredible deal Black Friday. We can't talk about it this week fully, but next week we're going to announce it on our show.
All right.
Isn't it next week's Thanksgiving week, right?
Yes.
Yes, we're announcing it next Monday night during our show. This will be something that even some of you who aren't going are going to get excited about. So that's as much. Will there be
John
cactus?
That's all I'm going to say. Just John's.
Will there be cactus? I don't know. Will there be cactus? I've never had. I don't think I've ever. Yeah, we went out to the Red Rock Canyon. There's cactus out there, but I've never seen a cactus because everything's palm trees and flowers and greenery because they want to make it pretty and soft and cuddly on the strip. So when you go out into the sticks, that's where it gets ugly and cactusy and prickly and things biting and killing you. So you guys, I can go to DJNTV.com/tickets. The passcode is DJNTV Show 2020. Right now, the passes are at $200, the full show pass, and that will get you into everything. It'll get you into the DJ track. That'll get you into the photo booth track, and it will get you into the exhibit hall and the parties. If you do go a master class, you will also be able to get the recordings from the main seminar room that we're on opposite that master class. So you get the master class, and then you're going to have access after the show to the recording. So let's say if you took Ben Stowe seminar and it's a 2-hour block, you're going to get those videos, the seminars that were in the main room for those 2 hours also afterwards. So you'll get a link and you'll be like, ooh, I can watch those videos. And it'll be awesome and fun.
I think right there, that is the coolest thing that I heard that you guys were going to do. I mean, and that's probably downplaying some of the other stuff I've heard, but just you don't get that like at other conventions. Like you don't even hear about that as an option at other conventions. Like, we want to give this opportunity for you to, to check something out, but we realize you're probably going to miss this over here, so we're going to hook you up. Like,
and
that's just awesome.
And that's been a big thing is because you and I both experienced that where we've been like, oh, I want to go there, but I need to go here. That's happened a ton of times. Let's face it, of all the to get Ben Stowe to go through gain structure for $99, that's what the masterclass costs, $99. That's worth the price of going to Vegas right there, just for that. Mm-hmm. And so you paid for your class plus a little just by having Ben Stowe going through and showing you how to basically ring out your microphone, whatever, ring out a room, however they want to refer to it as. You've got that, and then you haven't missed, yes, you're going to have to wait a week or so to get the video from that room, but you haven't missed any of the other content, and that makes it a lot easier to deal with. And then, of course, at this year's show, we're going to be announcing the 2021 show. We have probably about half the lineup already set for 2021. 2021 is going to be, we're going to be welcoming over the Mobile Beat crowd with us. So 2021, we're going to go from a room of 250 DJs to a room of over 1,000 DJs. So this is going to be our warm-up for our big 2021 show, which will be an experience and a half, let's put it that way. So we're looking forward to it.
Definitely.
But yeah, I think that's about it for tonight. Let's see, what do we got? Oh, we got tomorrow night, Ben Stowe and Brian are on tomorrow night. Wednesday night, MJ, what did he posted something about what he's doing Wednesday.
Live mixing?
No, was it a live mixing? No.
I thought it was. Oh. Hang on.
For those wondering, MJ posted it in the DJNTV Insider area on Facebook. So that's...
I'm in the wrong spot.
Yeah, that's for those of you who are part of that insider group. There's 172 people who are in that group right now. That is part of that membership area where you can go out to DJNTVtraining.com because it's a much faster website for our videos and such. But that's where we go and we post things like some of the new things that are coming up. His wish list. He's putting together his Christmas wish list. So he's gone through some of the new gear and such, and MJ is putting it together. He's done those the last few years, and that's kind of a fun show, because he never understands the value of Megaseg when we do these shows, and I don't understand that. So. 2 conventions a year should do you right, Scott. We'll have more information coming up about about one of those two conventions that, well, you'll be hitting one, and we've talked about that one, but there's a second convention that you've hit, and you're going to find there might be some more interesting things happening with that convention, which we'll be talking about probably in 2 weeks. So there's some
John teasing right in line.
There's some things going on in the discussions here. So could be some really cool stuff, or it'll be just basically Dan and I sitting in the Irish pub once again, wondering what is that stain on the floor over there.
No, we never talk about the stain.
That's true. Okay, why is it sticky over there?
That's because Scott dropped his beer again.
Maybe so. Well, take us home, Dan.
All right. On that note, thank you very much for taking some time out of your Monday evening to join us. And again, if you tuned in later in the week, again, thank you for taking some time out of your schedule. Hopefully it gave you some food for thought, especially when it came to the photos that you take, how you take them, and where you take them. And of course, what you do with them when it's all said and done. But we will be back here next Monday night. If nothing else, John's got some big news to tune in for next Monday. So that's reason enough. And if not, we'll give you other great reasons throughout the week. Have a great one.
Good night, everybody.